So my name is ROK. I'm a vocalist for the band called Within Destruction. We're based in Slovenia, and right now we are releasing our brand new album called Animetal. It's gonna be released on April 11th, and yeah, we're actually heading out on tour to promote the album, and we're stopping in Australia as well. We're doing 3 dates on the East Coast.
Fantastic. Rock, thanks for joining us tonight.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
No worries. So we'll start off on the album first, bro. Like Within Destructions are unleashing your sixth studio album, Animetal, on April the 11th, as you say. So how are you feeling getting this close to it? Is it nervousness? Is it excitement? Is it anxiety?
Yeah, I think it's bits and pieces of everything. We're really obviously excited to release the new album, and we've obviously been working really hard on it. So, finally reaping the what we've sown for the past couple of years. So that's gonna be really exciting, but obviously a little bit of nervousness as well, because it's a bit of we're straying a bit away from our older sound to the newer sound, so we're a bit anxious to see how what the reception is gonna be like. And it's also a bit of a challenge because with a newer sound, it's also an adjustment to how to translate that to live performances and on stage. But in the end, it's all exciting. It's I feel like if you're always in your comfort zone, there's no room for growing. So obviously setting challenges for us ourselves is a good thing to grow as musicians and as persons or people as well.
You mentioned the newer sound, mate. So can you tell us a bit more about Animetal from a musical point of view and what you're actually going for with it?
Right. Yeah. So obviously, if you listen to our older records and if you listen to Animetal, there's quite a bit of sound difference, and the reason why that is the case is because we've decided to kind of stray our own path to kind of set ourselves away from the industry, not only through the sound, but also visually through artwork, through music videos, us as band members as well. So anytime someone would listen to our song or see our album or something like that, they would immediately know, oh, I know this is Within Destruction. They wouldn't be have to, oh, what's this? This kind of sounds interesting. Let's look it up. We kind of wanted to, I guess, build our own brand in a way.
Yeah, nice. So to date, you've released the singles Cybergirl and Incomplete. So are they a good sonic representation of the rest of the album, or do they just scratch the surface?
I would say they're a good representation, but they're not the whole thing. So it's one side of it, but there are songs on the album that sound nothing like them as well. So yeah.
The cover fits in with the title also, like with an anime piece as a featured image. Like, is that a conceptual theme around anime on the album, or was it just a cool way to tie in the cover and the title?
Um, a little bit of both, I'd say. With this album, we've tried to pour our own personal interests into the music, but not only the music, the music videos and everything as well. And I personally am a huge anime fan and enthusiast, so obviously the name originated from anime and metal. Put those things together, it's Animetal. And we're also doing a manga, which will be available with the release of the album. So that's also part of my interest. But the other band members they also pour their own personal like stuff into it. For example, our drummer is really into cars. So the music video for the song called Demon Child is a lot is basically oriented around cars and stuff like that. So yeah, it's bits and pieces of everyone's interests into the album. Yeah, so that's where all of this kind of the creative energy comes from.
I was sort of touched on this a little bit earlier, mate, but the press release refers to your ability to innovate and push boundaries with your music. So is that something you are conscious of? Or like, do you sit down and plan out in an album cycle, say, right, this is what we're going to try and go in this direction? Or is it more trial and experimentation in the creative process?
Yeah, it's I feel like it's more trial and experimentation. We don't really set a specific goal we want to achieve. Usually how our creative process works is that our guitarist will kind of write a demo song with all the guitars, all the production, the drums and everything, and he will then send that song to us, so me and our drummer, and then we'll just bounce the song back and forth with ideas. You know, what if we put, I don't know, maybe some synths over there? What if we put this effect over here? What if we put some, I don't know, pop elements, electronic elements over there? So it's basically just trial and error until we feel like, oh, this fits, this doesn't fit. And once we go through this cycle a few times and we feel like, okay, this sounds like a finished product. Yeah, it's just goes through these cycles as long as or until we find the version that we're all happy with it.
That'd be pretty difficult too. Like, how do you set the limits? Like, how do you know if you've gone too far with your experimentalization or actually not far enough? Like, have you got certain guidelines or is it all by ear?
Um, Mostly by ear, but we're also fortunate enough to have a producer in Italy who's kind of like our let's say unbiased objective he gives us unbiased objective feedback. So yeah, we all basically create a song and then we also bounce it with him and he will put his input, what he thinks of the song as well, and that we really value that. And I feel like maybe that's kind of like our gosh, I guess, that he gives us a realistic opinion. And yeah, I feel like that's how that works.
Yeah. Across your albums, mate, like you started off more of a deathcore sort of band, then you developed into what you hear today over those 6 albums. So along those lines, how much musical growth do you think Within Destruction's got left in you?
I think there's no boundaries, to be honest, because we always try to there's not a premeditated sound we're always trying to go for. It's like with every album cycle, we just, I don't know, sit down and just talk about what we feel like writing at that point. And if, you know, if it's something completely out there, we'll just go for it. We just don't set any limits for us. But it has to be something that we're all comfortable with and that we're all vibe with. It's not, oh, let's just push it to the limits, you know, without we have to enjoy it as well. So it's not like just pushing the limits for the sake of pushing the limits.
And you also have a headlining tour of Australia coming up, which starts in Melbourne on April the 3rd. Then you hit Sydney and Brisbane over consecutive nights. So that's not far away at all, bro. You're packed and ready to go.
Oh yeah, yeah, we're all rehearsing and yeah, making preparations to make sure that tour goes as smoothly as possible. We've just uh, yeah, we've actually returned home 2 weeks ago from our US tour, so we're all still a bit tired and jet lagged, but we're working hard on yeah, on our Australian tour preparations. So everything is in motion at the moment.
Sweet. So for those who don't know too much about Within Destruction, tell it what can we expect from your live show? Run us through a typical Within Destruction live set.
Oh, so for this tour specifically, it's gonna be, I want to say, a mixed bag or a melting pot, because we know we have a lot of fans who really like our old music, and we also have fans that really like our new music, and then we have all the people in between who like basically everything. And since we're doing this huge headlining set, we have more available time to play all the songs from our older records from, you know, the records in between and also from our new albums. So, and everyone can expect, I feel like everyone will get at least something that they enjoy from Within Destruction, whether that's old music, whether that's new music, or if you like everything, then you're, you know, you get the best of both worlds.
No, we spoke before about how your sounds progress from the deathcore into what you hear today, and it's a newer sound again on the next album. So, how difficult is it to get your set list sort of flowing and cohesive, jumping from genres over the years?
Yeah, it's definitely a bit of a challenge, but we kind of mm, we try to transition through in between songs with kind of like I really don't have a can't remember a good word for it, but I guess it's kind of like an intermezzo, like samples things that kind of like gives a bit of a breather, you know, if there's a heavy song, we leave a little bit of room so it kind of comes down and then we transition to maybe a softer or a newer song and vice versa. So it's not like, you know, this incohesive set list, I guess.
Now, before we let you go, mate, have you started up a new segment called Photo Bomb? So basically, before we speak to you, I troll through your social media and I come up with a few photos that I want to ask you a bit more about. So the first one I've got is this one. Oh,
Oh,
that one there,
wow.
man. Like, what's you're standing up on stage and you see that starting to form in the pit. What's the first thing that goes
Yeah.
through your mind?
Oh, it's just like crazy insanity. That's basically probably one of my favorite things as an artist or as a musician is just standing on stage and seeing people enjoying the music we're playing, you know, the energy exchange from the audience to the stage is one of the best feelings in the world. So, yeah, even if I'm feeling like really bad that day, if I step on stage and I see the crowd reaction like this, it's just makes my whole day 100% better.
Right. So then sometimes, bro, this happens and you get out there and get in amongst it.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. That's also one of the best things ever. But with this kind of things, you need to be a bit more careful. So I always kind of like uh, check or see how the crowd is vibing with the show. Because if they're just, you know, standing there and enjoying, not really moving around, I usually won't go for a crowd surf because, you know, who wants to see someone jumping in their face when they're just standing there and watching? But if I see them really being really energetic and especially if there are a lot of guys who I feel like can handle me jumping into the crowd in front of them, then I'll definitely go for that one. Yeah, and it's a super nice feeling, and I feel like people enjoy what seeing that as well, whether they're carrying me around or standing on the side of the venue, just watching this crazy person jumping into the crowd and screaming into a microphone. I feel like it's a sight to be seen.
Has it ever gone pear-shaped and they didn't catch you or something like that?
Luckily no, but there have been a couple of shows where they would carry me for, I don't know, a few seconds and then they would drop me. But luckily, I feel like I'm a cat. I always land on my feet, so no injuries there so far, thankfully.
Nice. All right, Ross. Well, thanks for joining us today. The album Animetal is out April the 11th. The Australian tour kicks off in Melbourne on April 3rd. So there's heaps coming at you from Within Destruction. So get amongst it.
Hell yeah, thank you so much for having me.